This is Action Wrestling News with your lead reporter, CEO Matt Griffin. On screen, here we are. We're back. I'm sweaty.
And why are you sweaty, Chris?
Things got a little hectic tonight. I had to rush back.
On a podcast?
Rush back
on another podcast? What were you doing?
No, I was having shoot things to do, as they say in the wrestling biz, right?
We don't say that. We don't say it like that now.
How do you say it? How does it go?
I don't know. People say like the shooter. We don't say like I got shoot things to do.
Okay.
Oops. Let me log out of this poker I'm in.
I was gonna say I think your poker might be slowing you down over there.
Probably is. Probably is.
Yeah, Vic thinks you already dipped into the Halloween candy. Is that true?
What? I've got nerds. I would like to show you what I am drinking tonight.
Yes, please. What are we drinking?
Glacier Cherry Gatorade Zero. So I am not drunk.
Glacier Cherry. So it's not only a cherry flavor, but it's also a glacier cherry.
It's white, but it tastes like cherry. I'm very scintillating. And I got a bunch of stuff I got to do. I actually just taped an audition. I got to edit that. I actually feel like I'm ahead on show prep.
Really? Well, is that because you're at a different location, so you kind of had to do some other stuff, or?
Yeah, because I don't have to run. Well, mainly because I don't have to run concessions. We don't do concessions for this show, so I don't have to worry about that. There's no run to make to Costco or anything like that.
Publix.
Yes. Well, you make the Publix run when I ask you
to. I'm in charge of the Publix run.
And also, I don't have to worry about the door because somebody else will take care of the door. So it's like I don't have to sort out the money envelope or get the card reader ready for the door. So.
I missed a bunch of things in chat. So Val, thanks for hosting. Val said Glacier from WCW. John Miller is looking at famous ref Matt Griffin. Ron Bass Jr. No one ever calls it by the flavor. Matt is already suspicious today. And Vic thinks that you might be auditioning for Kingpin in the MCU.
Kingpin?
Yeah.
I wish. It is a role on a show that I'm not familiar with, and it's a role I audition for often. The type of role. Wait, nobody calls what by the flavor? Why
Gatorade.
am I sus?
Gatorade.
Well, I literally held it up to read it so I could be descriptive. This is my podcast. I don't want to say like, oh, it's white, because then that would be fucked up, because it's like, well, is it off-white? Is it eggshell white? And that doesn't answer. That just opens more questions. So.
So you talked about auditions, and we don't have any specific format, so I'm just going to ask you the question. You were on, and we're calling you a ref. You were on a show. You have been on a show multiple times now. Heels on what is it on? I don't have the channel, so Stars.
Yes.
How'd that happen?
Well, she plugged for Stars Network because Heels just wrapped up an 8-episode first season run. It's not just wrestling people who think it was good. It got really nice reviews, episode by episode. Before it came out, it got really nice reviews. So it's a show, of course, about independent wrestling in Georgia. Well, as an independent promoter in Georgia, this is of interest to me. But actually, I found out about this in like December of 2019 or January of 2020. We had a January 2020 show, and we had a couple people from Heels. I'll just be vague, but we had a couple people from Heels production come. I let them in. I know somebody who made the connection. So this was their first actual independent wrestling show. Was an action show. It was main evented by AC Mack and Kevin Koo. They were very interested. I had AC, like I pulled AC over, for example. I'm like, all right, show them how you might cut a promo. And I just gave him a couple random things. And he just cooked up a random, like, AC Mac promo.
Mm-hmm.
I let them watch how we talked to the wrestlers and everything like that. So they had a good time. A month later, February 2020, they came. And this was a show where we were sold out. It was headlined by Matt Sells versus Eric Royal. We also had Manders and JD Drake. We had Ben Carter and B-Boy, which was one of probably Ben Carter's real breakout match to get on, before he got on to Black Label Pro and GC Dub. And they brought they had a crew of about 10 who came out, including some real big higher ups. And this was, everybody knew's first show. So they've had one or two shows of independent wrestling experience that were literally action wrestling shows. And I gave them locker room access, come talk to people. I want them to be accurate. And I feel like they generally did, with some small details aside. We don't really use the word script. And there's a few other small things, but in their universe, that's how they do. And it's not really, it's hardly anything egregious. I think they treated the wrestling scene with a lot of reverence and respect. And just the fact that, pre-COVID shut down before they started filming anything, a lot of their first independent wrestling experience was action wrestling. Literally a independent show in Georgia. Was very, very cool. I have some, remind me Friday. If I haven't ever sent you pictures, I'll show you.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
So cool. So you built that relationship. They obviously used you guys as, research and a reference point. And like you said, it's getting rave reviews, and not just from people that love wrestling, but just in general, it's just a good show.
yeah, people like it. And that's, it's very dramatic. There's some people who said to me, it's like, oh, I thought it was a comedy. And it's like, wow, it's very dramatic, but wrestling is serious to people. I'm happy that they would go this route as opposed to a rather comedic fluff that could be blown off like a Ready to Rumble type.
Mm-hmm.
Lockdown messed everything up. But when they came back, they actually had a series of basically tryouts where they wanted to look at a bunch of different wrestlers for small roles, whether it be extra roles and stuff like that. And they did it in Tyrone. They did it in our building. They put a ring in up on a Monday or Tuesday, I think it was, and they had a bunch of wrestlers come in. They had extra casting, and I kind of just basically assisted. They had their stunt guy there, and one of the named wrestlers who was working on the project. And when it came time, when it came time to do some of the casting, production knew me, and I have a connection with the person who was used to be a trainer. Luke Hawks and I go back 20 something years, and he was in charge of getting a lot of the wrestlers, like the extras and for the stunt work and such, like for some of the smaller roles. And, he's the one who called me. And then I did a battle royal and was on set for a week. And then they had something for, Luke's on screen. He plays the whole, which, hopefully will be something that's a breakout role for him, because he's done a lot of stunt work. He's been on screen with Hugh Jackman, The Rock, but he gets a chance to show some acting chops. So hopefully this leads to something for him. But I'm on screen with him and Rooster as the referee for the Florida Wrestling Dystopia group. And it's very cool. They were it was a very professional production. They were great on set. Just, COVID protocols are a pain in the neck, but they were very professional with everything.
Action Cat's got some stuff. He's cleaning. He's getting things figured out for Friday. He doesn't have time to be on screen. He's busy.
Well, I don't know why. what she, don't
She.
misgender my cat.
Sorry.
I don't know
Sorry.
what she's
She.
doing here if she doesn't want some love, but she has a love-hate relationship with me. So
So you've been a ref. You've been in the Rumble. Do we expect more scenes with Matt Griffin?
well, I'm hopefully what we gotta hope for is, please watch and support the show, tweet about it, tell friends about it. But, hopefully, hopefully they go back to Florida. They like the way that I looked on scene and on set, and they know me. And if they have more shows in the Florida Wrestling Dystopia group, hopefully I'll be the ref there. It's all local. It was all based and filmed in Georgia. In fact, some of the town stuff, like the houses, the trailer park, were filmed in Tyrone. The lawnmower store was filmed in Palmetto, which is just a town or so over. And you can see some street stuff, and I'm like, oh, that bridge is over in Fairburn, which is 10 minutes from Tyrone. So it's incredibly local, which helps pump money into Fayette County. It's very cool that there's a show that's shot here that's about wrestling, and we were a very small part of it. I mean, there's lots of shows that shoot here. I mean, the Marvel stuff is shot here, and
Mm-hmm.
there's plenty of other productions. I mean, um, so not to drop too many names, but there's a lot of shit going around. So it's very cool that we get that we kind of get a little bit of that.
How important is like good looking wrestling in a show like that when it comes to like portraying not only the wrestling business but independent wrestling?
See, that's a loaded question because we're not shooting. They're not. I mean, the name wrestlers have to know enough, and you can tell that they all trained very hard just by looking at their bodies. You can look at Stephen Amell, Alexander Ludwig, Apocalypse, Rooster, with Al Maldonado looked incredible. Um, and they do use stunt doubles for some of the scenes, but it's not shooting wrestling; it's shooting television. I mean, several scenes are cut and spliced together. The scene I was the ref in, I believe was only shot 3 times. Um, and they slice it together. It's going to show Spade walking through the crowd. It's going to have faraway stuff. There's a flash of a couple things where you see the camera kind of come in from afar, and there's 2 other guys fighting in the ring, and that's before that match. I'm the ref in there, and they were actors,
Mm-hmm.
and it was worse than you could possibly imagine. We shot it about, I think we only shot it two, maybe 3 times. And what was really cool is if you're an ECW fan, they played music as this was going on and people were going nuts. And it was Thunder Kiss 65 by White Zombie. So like, they're like, all right, ready, blah, blah, blah. Play the music. Dun, 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 dun. It's like, what the fuck? Action. Holy shit. So it was really cool. I mean, it's 400 people who are paid to be there screaming, going crazy. It's like 11:30 at night after being there all day. And uh, that was that was interesting. But it doesn't matter that they're actors. I mean, they can do enough stuff where it's clipped and cut. So we're not producing wrestling. I mean, obviously we want it to look good. You want to, or how it's supposed to. So I think they're doing a really. I mean, I even told one of the producers that I think they've treated wrestling with a very good measure of respect, and I appreciate that on a personal level, because um, what embarrasses me about pro wrestling is when I have somebody watching with me, and it's like, oh God, I can't defend this because it's so fucking stupid. And that's how I feel on a lot of Monday nights. And on Wednesday nights, I don't think I've ever really felt this. There might be some stuff that doesn't land, or it's like, yeah, it might be a little goofy, but some of the stuff you're watching, it's like, oh my God, this is fucking embarrassing. And I've tried, and you try to tell people, it's like, all right, when I get hit, it's real. Injuries are real. And then you see some stuff that some wrestling promotions try, and it's like, so they've treated with a lot of respect. They've made it very clear that wrestling is not an easy business, whether it's physically or mentally and emotionally as well.
Oh, good question from Vic. How big was Matt's trailer on set?
Um, I had I had a trailer twice. Once I shared with a couple guys, and once I shared. I mean, they're not too bad. I mean, you're basically you're not, you're just hanging out. I'm being vague. I
Big.
did have I did not have a trailer the day I was a ref, which is funny because that's when I got the most screen time. But I did on some of the other scenes and days. It was very cool.
Well, I look
But
forward
all in all,
to being able to
it was
watch.
very good. It was a very good production. It was very, I mean, it was very professional, especially when you're dealing with these, difficult COVID times. And by all accounts, from what other people said as well, not just my own observances, they were extremely professional, which is great. It makes it easy to plug a show like that. Even if I didn't like it, I can at least say it's like, well, it was done well and professionally. But it is actually a good show, so it makes it very easy to go ahead and put over. And it's not announced for season 2 yet, as best I know, but I really hope that it will be. For I hope season 2 will happen. So.
I hope I get a Stars preview at some point so I can watch season 1, or it ends up on one of the streaming channels.
Subscribe to it. Come on.
I have to. Hey, it's either Action sponsorship or Stars. I have to make a decision.
I see your point.
Ah, see, there's the point. There's the point. All right, so it's show week again. I feel like we
Yep.
just did this. I feel like
well, we did just do it, and then we didn't do it the following week when I had an outdoor show. That went very well, and we had a week off. But I was at TWE in Chattanooga last weekend anyway, so not really. I was also at the Championship Wrestling of Atlanta tapings, so I really had a Thursday and a Saturday that, even though I didn't run the show, I still had a lot that I was doing. And then we got Friday, which is good. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I have absolutely no idea how we'll draw. Ooh, you reacted to something. What were we reacting to?
the captain's going to give me his password to Stars.
Good. Tweet about the show.
Tweet about the show. Tweet about this show, or tweet about the show Heels.
Heels.
Oh, okay.
Heels.
Not this show. Nobody cares about Action News Report, but we should definitely tweet about Heels. Vic put it in the chat. The outdoor show.
Yes.
When can we expect that to hit VOD for IWTV? October?
Yes, it should be ready any day now.
Okay.
In fact, let me ask on that. I believe it's going to be rendering today or tonight, and that hopefully means it'll get to IWTV. I'd love if it could be on tomorrow, but I've got to check in. It's been a busy time. The Acting Accordingly show was a little bit more difficult because he had some technical issues, just because of he had to edit because we were mobile for the Jade Newman and Matt Sells match. So it was a lot different than when we're inside and he's got everything. So he had to do a lot more editing.
That came out really good. I mean, I watched it back on IWTV, and it looks really good for a Falls Count Anywhere match that ended up in a pond.
It was cool. I mean, people were talking about and joking about the pond for a long time. So we basically tried to put it out there like, I don't know, but yeah, he was going in the pond the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, he had the option. I gave him the option, if you don't feel comfortable doing it, to not. But he was pretty much going in the pond the whole time.
And Matt Sells tombstoned a guy onto another guy.
Indie-tastic.
I mean,
Matt Sells is your 2021 indie darling.
He's put together quite the highlight footage this year of incredible moments in matches.
Matt has really become a performer and not just a wrestler, and that's great. He has earned it and deserves it, so he's done very well with that.
So John Miller wants to know what the sleeper matches for Friday are. You know what, John Miller? I'm going to do you one better. I
I don't know.
believe that we're going to have next up on Friday, which means every one of those matches are your sleeper matches for Friday. So you could tune in right here on the Bald Monkeys Network, twitch.tv/the Bald Monkeys, and I will be there live streaming those matches. So those are your sleeper matches for Friday.
I mean, really, if you talk a match about a lot, it's not really a sleeper match. So I don't know. I don't really get it. I mean, plus I can't because I'm the one who gives the time for the matches, and sometimes you need something more, and there's reasons why you get less, or some guys are in a position where they're going to have a better expectation of shooting, of overshooting the mark. It's hard to you can have a really good match in say 4 minutes, but you're not really going to have a classic in 4 minutes that's going to be long remembered. It just can be difficult to build up that drama, and who knows, it's in a high school gym, so as not as good an ambiance as the action arena, but hopefully, I have no idea how many people will do, just none.
How's the Wi-Fi?
Tell you Friday.
Gonna need that Wi-Fi password.
It exists. I know that.
Well,
I'll get it for you.
We'll see how that goes.
That shouldn't be a problem. The school and the wrestling team, the coach that this is benefiting for, they're very easy to work with, and as opposed to some nonprofit groups or school groups, very, very proactive, very, very wanting to get out there and talk to people, because they realize, just the more people you get there, it's not just $10 a ticket. That might be another $5 or $6 that they spend on concessions. And if they bring a friend, if it's one person and they bring somebody, then you might get double that. So it's they understand, they understand what this is.
Yep, definitely. All right, so Running Wild. Tell me where the name came from.
Are you asking me because because did I tell you?
No, I have not heard this story yet.
So I went on to, let me see if I can figure out how to recreate this.
Did you Google bad wrestling names for shows? What other kind of hats can they put me in?
I feel like you're being I feel like it's being a little disrespectful, because what I did was I went to I googled something like generic wrestling show names and got this huge list of like, let's see if it's, haha, I found this big list of wrestling show names. I shit you not, this is a true story. Googled generic wrestling show names, and there's somebody who's got a list, and some of these are true. I don't even know if this is a previous show name that's ever existed. Hell yeah, somebody just bought one or two tickets. I can't tell you. That's awesome. So if you go, and I looked down this list, one of the show names you see is Running Wild.
Literally Googled it.
Literally, it was like generic wrestling show names, and I just kept coming down, and I'm like, all right, I need something that's, because I don't want to use a good one because I might use it again here. And this list has a lot of other ones like Road Wild and Royal Rumble and Rock Bottom that have actually happened. So I don't know if some of these are made up or what, but I was like, sold. I name, it's a joke with me and Cody Wynn, our poster designer, that I come up with the dumbest show names. When I named a show after my 29th birthday. He named a show, whatever the anniversary show name was, that one was him. And he names a lot of the shows that, like, he might put something in just like as a place filler, and I'm like, okay. I mean, Bangers Only last year came because AC Max said something about, like, the show, the action wrestling, it's bangers only here. And I'm like, that's a cool show name. So he came up with that one. Um, the dumber the, if it doesn't matter, the dumber the better. Like I wasn't gonna use a good one on it. I'm like, all right, Running Wild, screw it. Also, it's only 2 words and it's easy to type.
So
So
everyone has a price, shout out $1 Million Man. What would it take for some kind of fan sponsorship to name one of these action shows? To have the option to not, be rude or anything, but have the opportunity to name an action show.
well, Ben Zani has made a standing offer, and I forget how much it was, but it has to be a very specific name, and there's reasons why we'll never do a show like that. And I don't know. Are you interested?
I'm just saying there might be, there might be an opportunity for us to check it off the bucket list, to not run our own
I
show, but at least have our own show that we named.
I would be interested in that. I am open to hearing offers. And I will say that we got some big things that are in the pipeline. And when I say that we have some stuff in the pipeline, I thankfully, based on history, have proven not to be a liar. It was, we had the show in Tampa. We've had, and this is even before you started coming to shows and we met. I was able to bring uh, a lot of interesting talent in.
Yeah. As much as I'd like to take credit for all the good stuff that you've come up with, it was happening before I showed up.
You can take all that credit. You're a sponsor. You can take whatever credit you want because I don't need the credit. I'm not interested in winning Georgia Promoter or Booker of the Year awards.
You got that nice, special award that was, that was oh yeah, that's right. She stomped that.
I
Oh, yeah.
You realize that I made that in like Microsoft Word that morning of the show, right? And
No.
I didn't even think about that. Oh my gosh, she should like do that to me. She should. I didn't even think till she should do that. She should do that to me to like intermission. I was like, you know what you should do? Because when we started the show, it was not initially a prop to be used. I was like, oh, I did that award just to pop Larry Goodman, who wasn't even at the show. So I was like, all right, Georgia wrestling, and that's why I had Matt Sells. I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyway. I put in a damn frame. So, and then I didn't even realize it was in the ring that she put it on me, and I'm like, stomp it. I told her, I called an audible and had Angela Lane stomp it on me, which was smart because that took like six or yes. Thankfully, I did not get cut, but it took like 6 or 7 minutes to clean up. But we eventually got everybody back because we did completely unannounced. We did Violence is Forever versus the Workhorsemen.
That was so good.
Yeah.
So good. And I don't know, that kind of felt like tag team, like the beginning of like the tag team wrestling run for Action Wrestling. Like that main event was then all of a sudden, like we went on this great run of a lot of good tag team matches.
Well, we've, because around that time, like a month or two before, we had Adrian Alanis come in and Liam Gray, like around that time, like November, December. And I think Adrian just did a singles match with Bobby Flacco.
Yep.
And I'd used Liam before, and it was like, once, and they've done some really good work with Evolve. They've done AEW and WWE spot work, and basically, I was like, okay, and I wanted to go ahead and have them come in. I wanted to kind of create some tag teams because it also lets me use more wrestlers, because the conversation I keep having is it's not about talent. It's like, you're good enough to work here. I would like for you to. The problem is I can't run, and I'm not gonna run a 12 or 13 match show.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could easily run a 12 or 13 match show. I mean, very easily. I could add 4 more matches probably on Friday, and they would all fit. Like they would fit our style. It would be credible. It's just I don't have room for everybody I want, and I have to have that balance of people who are known through the independent world, because we are on iwtv.live. I need people who are going to encourage people to buy tickets, people who promote their own stuff, and most importantly, are going to hold their end up in the ring, because nothing matters. Nothing matters about your presentation as long as you're not offensive,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, but nothing matters as long as you can produce in the ring. That's it. If you can produce in the ring and aren't a problematic person, then you can work here. It's just that I've got a list of so many wrestlers, and then there's so many wrestlers who are trying to get on that list.
Yeah, I think and that's where kind of next up comes in, or any other thing where guys are just making their way down to Tyrone to just put the effort and the time in to show you that they're willing to put that in to get their shot. Nobody's begging.
I'm gonna give credit, and I know I saw it, and I think you did it already. Did you do Jeffrey John on one of the shows?
We did.
Yeah, Jeffrey John's come down 2 or 3 times, to show face and to meet and to kind of meet other wrestlers out of his area, and apparently he does that with other shows. And he's he's come in with is it oh gosh, I don't want to mess it. Is it Morgan Taylor? And he came in last show with Cameron Saturn.
Yep.
And these are guys who were jumping in the car, and it's like, all right, well, I can definitely see something there. Last show we were with Acting Accordingly, we had a gauntlet match, and we had a couple spots that we decided to add some wrestlers from Next Up. We were initially going to add, and then we added. We said we were going to add 3. We added 4, and then because Sean Christopher did an incredible solid the day of the show to help the show come off, and he's worked with us before as well, and he's a talented guy. So we used him in that gauntlet scramble kitchen sink. Has there ever been a wrestling match just called like a kitchen sink match?
I don't think so. I'd have to look it up. I'll look it up.
Can you trademark that for me if it hasn't? Because
I'll search it right now while you're.
I don't know how to search it like that. Usually I just ask David Bixenspan or Chris Zellner, because they know fucking everything. I'll be on a podcast with them, and it'll be like 5 hours, and at like the 4.5 hour mark, David will just be like researching something, and he'll mention about a show, and Chris will be like, oh yeah, it aired on WG XYTV on Saturdays, 2:30 a.m. Part of the Pedicino block. It's like I can't remember shit about matches I saw yesterday, and Chris is like has an instant recall of like 1991 like independent wrestling blocks on Atlanta TV, and he's seen everything. Mm-hmm. Like he's got like oh yeah, that was a great TV show. Where was I going with that? I can't even remember literally where I was going with that, but I feel like a fucking idiot.
You were talking up Jeffrey John and the time he's put in.
Oh yes. I started there, and like my research sucks. I don't remember anything. I gotta ask somebody else. But no, it's cool that Next Up has become kind of its own thing. I had an audio problem that I was really trying to fix with number 5, and it was the commentary. The commentary is good, but the problem is the mic wasn't very good. And I'm like, I can't release it like that. So Scott Hensley is doing it in post. We're going to get a microphone tomorrow so that he'll be able to do it live. And I was able to tape. We did tape 4 matches on our outdoor show. And then Scott's going to do commentary on that. So we're going to have some more stuff to drop.
Cool.
Which is cool. The next time, it's, it's one thing to compete and wrestle in front of fans who don't know you, but when you're wrestling in front of your peers and there's like 20, 25 other wrestlers right at ringside, that's a different kind of pressure. So the Next Up tapings, just because they're empty arena, are not easy. Especially when right before. Now, what I did last time is I waited till everyone had everything set, because I didn't want them to find out like an hour before and be like, I'm gonna do this space flying tiger. Because it's not necessarily about what you do, it's how you execute it. And if you get this gift of an insanely weird opponent, and I mean weird as in a complete contrast to your style, then use that as a gift, because most are not going to put you in that. Like, show me what you can do and be creative with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're wrestling somebody who's 100 pounds lighter than you, or is 200 pounds heavier than you, how can you how can you make this interesting? So next up is fun. I mean, Bobby Flacco does a good job with it, and you should have Flacco on sometime, but he might not even have a computer or know what the hell Zoom is.
We've had Flacco on. He was audio only.
See, exactly.
Yep.
Flacco's probably like, the fuck is Zoom?
He is on. You can check it out. Go to our YouTube channel. You will find it in the back catalog.
I love Bobby. Um, I legitimately let him match make that. Because I use that as like, look, let's get some reps in, on people who are not used to doing that job. Bobby's, getting some reps is like, okay, so it's like managing the talent, like who
Mm-hmm.
would work together. I've had some ideas. It's like, all right, you've seen the last couple of shows, we've had some promos. Let's all right, let's have Zamir Zuriel challenge Merrick Donovan. Cool. And let's see how it plays out. Let's have Zach Mosley be a heel, and let's have Rico as Gonzalez as a ref, and
That was great.
it's hard to do show to show because you don't necessarily know who might be there, but doing it within a show is kind of interesting. And I'm using that to show Bobby. I'm letting some of the wrestlers will get in some reps as a ref, which I actually do think helps you in your matches. We've had Kevin Koo, Alex Kane, Landon Hale, among others who've done matches. We've had some of the students from WWA4 come, and it
Yep.
all gets you in front of me. It all lets me see that you're interested in coming in and doing things the right way. Just like tagging a promotion account on Twitter, that's not working anymore. Because I either already know who you are if you're somebody I want to bring in or fly in because you've got a name in another region.
Mm-hmm.
Or you are somebody who already works here, or I don't care. I mean, it's very. I mean, seriously, if you look at it, Chris, you see, I've got a show with 8 matches, a gauntlet match, and one of them was a 3-way tag team match. That's 8 matches. Next up had 8 matches too.
Yep.
And so many of those wrestlers don't. I mean, I'll just say it. They don't belong on there for very long because they could be on main shows. The problem is that I just don't have that talent. But especially when there's talent coming in, like, all right, I'm gonna jump in the car. I mean, heck, Merrick Donovan, just to name one, Merrick Donovan on 2 of our main shows, including the live stream, and on futures, does not happen if he does not jump in the car and be like, yeah, I'm going up with Robert Martyr to Georgia.
Yep.
That just doesn't happen. I mean, he impressed us during the next up. I mean, it was basically like, oh, can we add him to the live pay-per-view? I mean, there were several of us in agreement. That was on our May show, Boogie Nights, I believe. And, and then off of that, it's like when we had a spot to replace with futures to fill, he was an easy call as well. And he just wrestled Kevin Koo and had a good match with him on Acting Accordingly. And it's like, all right, well, he's somebody who was not even on my radar, and he forced himself onto it. Now, not everyone's at that level. I mean, there's plenty of wrestlers who are students, and you can use it just to get in some reps, and that's okay too.
I think it's my favorite part of show day is showing up and hanging out and seeing those people develop and work things through and seeing the things they do wrong, but also seeing when they do something right. It's just fun to watch them develop and kind of find something in themselves when they figure it out.
And it's okay to do something wrong. It's not okay to do something wrong and then to stand there and be like, and it's not okay to just dismiss your opponent because you don't like who Bobby or myself, because but basically Bob goes ahead and runs all the lineups by me, and usually I go ahead. I might say, hey, this person should win, or let's try a promo, let's try setting this up, and because I want to see this person talk. But it's not okay to dismiss your opponent because, like, in wrestling, you can have a variety of different opponents. And if you can be creative and get a good match out of somebody that nobody thinks you would have a good match with, that's called
key.
working.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we're at time, sir. It is 9:30. We have some folks in the waiting room. You have a show to finish up
Hey,
and get ready.
is that well, actually the funny part is Dylan Hales is coming and staying here tomorrow. So my show prep is going to be prepping where he's going to stay. And then we'll just talk through it tomorrow. We'll actually have our booking meeting in person, but it's pretty simple. It's not simple, but it's mostly done. And I have most of the ideas going into December. Did anyone ask any questions? Somebody asked me a stupid question.
Ask one stupid question so we can make Matt happy. Anything?
Because it's Max Zero, right?
Yes. Yes.
I just talked to him.
Okay.
On
well,
Twitter like a week ago.
They are all in the waiting room. So if you want, we could sign off here and you could say hi while we put everybody on. Be right back. And come live for the stack.
Seems like an awful lot of work on my behalf to do on my show. All right, let's go to Twitch on my phone. I'm so fucking tired. Oh my god.
Well,
oh my god.
Where can everybody needs to grab tickets? Show up on Friday if you're in the area. Which high school is it? I keep forgetting. South Coweta? West Coweta?
We are at
East Coweta?
East Coweta High School in Sharpsburg, Georgia. And I'm going to plug, especially please watch us on IWTV. We want to have a huge October. We dropped Acting Accordingly. We're about to drop our outdoor show, which was headlined by Alex Zane and Kevin Ryan. We also had Jimmy and Jazzy Yang versus Brogan Finley and Bobby Flacco, which was a treat to have Jimmy Yang on a show. So
I'm jealous. Wish I would have been there, but here you go. What's your blood type? A negative. Got it. When are you going to fight Angela Slane? Okay. So anyway, go check out the show on Friday. Go check out IWTV. Hang tight. Nobody go anywhere. We're going to go to Be Right Back. We're going to be back very quickly with the stack, with her guest tonight. Hang tight.